This is Simon Chartier of Simon and the Bar Sinisters, the Supertones, the Blue Greens, Heavy Trash, the Slackers, and many other bands. And I'm here today to share with you some things I figured out, started working on them when I was a youngster, of how to get some of the steel guitar and pedal steel guitar sounds and play them on a regular guitar, such as I was listening to a lot of Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, and I also was listening to rockabilly records and western swing records like that, and I wanted to try to get that sound for myself. So what I figured out is multiple string bends. Now I'm doing this in the key of B right now because it's nice, because you're right in the middle of the neck, you're not too low nor too high. Now here's your regular B chord, okay? Here's the bar chord, the first form bar chord that we are familiar with. And then here's played on strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now what I do is I'm starting lower, but instead of moving it, right, from B flat to B, I'm pushing it up. If you look at it from the side, what I'm doing is this. Now I'm adding the note B. I'm playing this with my fourth finger, my pinky. That note is not bent, okay? So we have B, then we have this other thing, and it's a half step lower. In music theory, it's called the chromatic lower neighbor of the B chord. Now I'm going to bend the two strings up and hold it. One thing is, if you have to pinch down and in. The reason why I'm holding my thumb like this, I know your guitar teacher will always tell you to not have your thumb over the neck. I mean, Jimi Hendrix is allowed to get away with it, but the rest of us shouldn't. But the reason why I'm doing this is that when you, it's not just pushing up on the string. You've got to push down straight into the fingerboard, because if you release your grip for even a second, you get a kind of buzzing or unmusical sound. So not only am I pushing, but I'm also going this way. I'm going this way and this way. So I've got to move my hands. Each finger is traveling an unequal distance and on two planes of motion. See that? I'm going to do it again. Now, my pinky is playing this note. This note does not change. I don't bend this note, so it's two bent notes against one note that isn't bent. This helps because it marks the chord in the key, and it gives it a full sound. It also helps because you've got this, what I call a dry note. To me, a dry note is a note that you don't bend or use vibrato on. So when you hit a note dry, you're just hitting it. You're not shaking it or bending it. So when you have that dry note, it gives you a good measurement of what tone to bend the strings against to be in tune. See what I mean? So it's like my pitch standard. And they're at, like, again, I have my thumb because I'm on two planes, so I've got to be really steady. Hold it as long as you can. I'm doing it over and over again. I'm hoping that you're getting it. See, there's my pinky. It's kind of hidden underneath the other fingers, but it's... Then I've got... But then here's a... Then I add a variation on that is to just do the third string and the first string. But I like that. Then also if you add vibrato, you can get kind of a Chicago blues sound. You know, I'm thinking of Elmore James or Hound Dog Taylor, and you can go like... So more about this, okay? I'm using very heavy strings on my guitar. This is a Gibson Les Paul, and I'm using 13, 17, 22 plain, 34, 44, and 56. You must use a plain G string. The third string, this one here, you can't use a wound string because it doesn't have the right throw angle on it. You can't bend it far enough. So you need a plain. I prefer heavy strings for the sound of the guitar. Is better with heavy strings. But if you're using lighter strings, it doesn't matter. The whole trick is the smaller the diameter of the string, the further it has to travel to change pitch. So I'm going to show you to get it in tune, right? Let's say my second string I'm bending and then the third string. The second string has got to travel further. You're bending the strings on these multiple bends in equal distances. So watch as I take the second string. I'm using two fingers because it's got to travel further. See, they're each going melodically up a half step, but when you bend them, the second string has got to get pushed further up. So... You see that? So you have to lead with whatever the skinniest string that you're pushing in my multiple bend string system. Always push the skinniest string up first. Always keep that in mind. I forget it sometimes myself and then I play out of tune. But one of the tricks to this is, okay, now you see how I'm bending it up? Try bending, the next thing you should do is have it already pushed up, and then release it. Here's another way to do it. Have the note already pushed up, and release it. When you're releasing it, try to go as slow as you can and get it back in tune. It's very difficult to play. These aren't the easiest licks to do and do them in tune. But if you sit around and try it a bunch of times, before long you'll get it. When you let her go, let her all the way go. Let her just come down. Remember, she's a cable. She's going to hold down to the regular pitch. Now, one of my influences on this was the great Hawaiian steel player Saul Hoopy, and he was the first guy to play electric steel guitar. He popularized it, and he had that sound, that very Hawaiian sound where he wasn't in a rush. He never, and he would just make it go. So you want to make the bend slow. Now you can add vibrato. You can also get like a Elmore James blues kind of sound. But remember always that in order to play in tune and not have it just sound like wild, reckless string bending, it's very important that always to take the second string, and the second string, it has a larger amount of excursion on it. All right, so that's our first lick. And from here, we're going to expand. We just went over this. And what this does is outline the major triad, okay? As you know, I'm not teaching a music theory course in these videos, but but it is necessary to just know the sound of the music that we are playing. And here it is. So always take your basic bar chords and then pick the notes out that you're using. So we have this. Now I'm going to show us how to use this position here and get a couple of extra sounds, okay? Now we have a seventh chord. A seventh chord sounds like this. Right? You may know it like this. Okay? Rockabilly, it's used like. So we're going to get the seventh chord now. And the way we do that is our pinky note, which is B. Like I said, I'm sticking in the key of B for right now. I'm going to change the note, the dry note, as I call it, the note that's not going to be changed, to A. And that gives us the dominant seventh. It's the minor seventh away from B. The A. So if we're in the key of B, it's B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and that gives us this. Now these two strings remain the same. Right? We just did this before. But now I'm going to use my first finger, okay? And that's my dry note. And then the other two do not change. This is especially good to start with the bent note, which is something you should do anyhow. You don't have to go overboard with a lot of crazy bends. You could start, you know, you're already playing a sound that nobody else does, you know, so it's. Now here's one thing I used to do when I was figuring this stuff out. I was a young man. I was sitting around and I would take this chord, okay, the notes on my guitar here are A, F sharp, and D sharp, alright? A, F sharp, and D sharp. I'd play that, then I'd play this. It's the same notes, except now I'm bending, see? What this is close voicing, where each note is a third away from the next note. So it's a. Third degree of the scale, fifth degree, and then the minor seventh degree. Now I'm going to bend it. Same thing. And then I would check it. Totally dry chord, but the same arrangement of notes as the one that I want to bend. Now I try to bend it. Focus all your energy. Whatever the thinnest string is, you'd think the fatter strings are harder to bend. But whatever the smallest string you're bending, that's where you really got to focus, because that string has to travel further. And what I learned from messing up 100 million times doing this is that if you focus on that thinnest string and get that in tune, whatever other strings that you are bending will kind of fall into pitch as well. So that's how you can get control over your pitch and make sure that these things are done in tune. Remember, so this is this chord. See, remember. So now we have, I'm going to check it. I'll try to get it close tune as I can. Then dry, bent. And watch, also there's a bunch of things you can do. If you hit the guitar with kind of a, watch how I'm kind of hitting the strings. If I hit it kind of flat, digging in, it's got a punch, a lot of attack. I use a lot my fingers as well as the pick. And I got that from when I was a kid reading about Roy Buchanan and about James Burton. And they did that. And I started using my fingers as well as the pick to play. It's actually very efficient because you got the fingers already and they're hanging around, so you might as well put them to some work. So it's very efficient. But now watch, instead of playing like that, I'm going to make hooks out of them, little like hooks, and I'm going to kind of hook them. It gets a different sound. It's more... Like this sound is fat, and this sound's got a little more of something on it, like a... See, I'm kind of getting it, I'm hooking it. It's not, I'm not playing off the ball of my finger anymore, off the ball of my finger pad. I'm using the very tips. B7 chord bent. Okay, now moving on. I'm using these same two. Now we're going to add, instead of A, we're going to add G sharp. Okay, that's a major 6th chord. That's very Western swing. Okay? So, these don't change, okay? Now I'm adding, instead of the A, now I'm going to G sharp. Alright? Now some of these bends, they get pretty far, and what you got to kind of do is use leverage of your body, too. For example, I dig my ribs into the top of the guitar, and I'm actually playing the guitar with my rib cage, too. I'm like just kind of letting down some of the weight on my rib cage to do that, see? You can also lift the guitar. You know, if you're playing standing up, it's easier to lift the guitar, too. I'm sitting down, so I learned to use my rib cage to push, so... I've never had sore ribs, even after a long recording session, but, see that? It's body English. It's going in between my ribs, so that I'm pushing down the guitar with my ribs, but not too hard, just a little bit to help it along. I want to also point something out. By this stage, my hand is spread out now, right? Because I'm going for this note. I can't hook my finger around like this anymore. The further apart my fingers are, the further back on the neck. I'm going to show you a backwards view of where I've got to be now to get this note cleanly. So see where my finger has to be now? I can't anymore play with the finger hooked. So you have to adjust your body English. It's a little bit like surfing or riding a skateboard, you know, where you got to use all the little distributions of your body weight in order to make the moves you want to make. This kind of guitar playing is very much like that, because you've got all these little physical things you got to do with your body in order to make the note. See that? Now I am standing up. I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but I'll also explain to you that before I was digging my rib cage, now I'm just kind of picking the guitar up. I'm using the weight of the guitar against it. Same result as with the ribs, just a different way of doing it. If you're playing sitting down, you want to use your ribs, you know? Here's your B major triad played dry. Now here's the same thing with the double bends. See that? Notice my thumb is over, okay? Because my fingers are close together. Now, here's B7th, okay? Just like in your, in your guitar chord instruction book where they have you play a right or Now it's still close together, my fingers, therefore I can put the thumb over and use that to help kind of... It's very important too, the feeling. You got to put feeling into this. You can't just kind of bend the strings random. You got to think like you're hearing a train in the night. You're laying up there in bed and you hear a freight train a couple of miles away, that lonesome whistle. You've got to get some of that feeling in there, you know? Now, B major sixth, like I said, it's very Western swing. No longer can I use the thumb like this. It won't work, okay? So you've got to be crafty. This is a little harder of a riff to accomplish. You have to be really... And like I said, I can't say this enough. Whatever the string that you're pushing, right? Whichever the closer, if you're bending the second string and the third string, the second string is the one you got to really focus on because it's got to travel further, and it'll basically, everything else will kind of fall into place if you concentrate on like that. See, I'm really thinking. I'm also lifting the guitar a little bit. I mean, even if you're playing a light guitar that doesn't weigh a lot, it's not the issue. You don't need a lot of force. You know, don't ever try to force this. It's kind of, you just got to do it a lot and you kind of feel where it is, you know? Okay, so now we have, so we can go like, another trick you can do if you have a guitar with one cutaway, right? Just make sure you have your strap on good. You push your guitar off the strap, and your guitar might fall off. So be careful. But I'm just kind of lightly resting my hand right here. Okay, I guess this is called the upper bout, if I am correct. And I'm not pushing it really hard, you know, but you see, like so, it just creates a counterforce, because here's going up, I'm going down, right? So I've got an opposite direction motion to help equalize it. You see that? I do that all the time. So there's that's a... Okay, now we're going to get into a different tonality. This is a more country and western sounding thing, more than blues or western swing. You'd be more likely to use it when you have major chords or it's a, you know, country and western type song. Now what this involves is a single bend combined with a hammer on, okay? I'm still working out a B major chord shape, see? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use every variation I can think of out of one given chord position before I change it. That's because I don't want to be all over the place. I want to try to be consistent so that we're going to milk everything out of one position before we move. We're going to try to get everything out. So here's some more stuff we can get out of that, okay? That's a very common sound in country and western records. Where I got it from was Webb Pierce, Slowly. Slowly I've been falling more in love with you, and that was the first pedal steel on record. And what I'm doing is it's a single bend, okay? Combined with a hammer on. Watch it a couple of times and then I'm going to lay it out for you, okay? Here we go. Now what I'm doing is I got the same B major shape that we've been working on so far, okay? Now I'm taking the third string, okay? That gives you the... that's called a suspended fourth in music theory. It's a very familiar sound. It's used in classical. It's used in pop. I think of the Byrds, all the Byrds, all that the band from the '60s, and their songs like, right? So we're bending this. There it is, dry. Okay. This note is D sharp. All right, for those of us that like notes. And the rest of you just know it's part of this B chord, okay? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again, hopefully a little better. I'm going to do it again. Now let me lay it out for you. I'm bending this. Now, in order to not hit this string, I'm kind of, rather than avoid it, I'm just going right into it. You know, the best, like they say, what's the best defense is a good offense. So as I push this up, I'm just kind of pushing the fourth string out of the way a little bit. It's not drastic, but it's... Now here, right, that's like the... Like that old thing in the 70s. Right? So that's... And that's like going from for those of us that enjoy our notes, it's F sharp to a G sharp. That's the perfect fifth to the major sixth. Now I'm going to combine the two, all right? Now, rhythmically, the bend should get onto true pitch at the same time the hammer on hits. Now, look at my fingers. I'm hook-fingered because I got to hook it. If I hit this guy, I'm going to mess him up. I got to stay out of his way. And if I hit this guy, it kind of kills all the fun because you don't have that nice ring. We call that in music theory a suspension. So this guy, it's got to be, I'm coming down square on the tip of my fingers, straight like perpendicular, straight down, just like the columns on the elevated subway, going straight down into the sidewalk, all right? So you're like this. I'm going to do it again, okay? Now our notes again, I'm bending D sharp up to E. And then I'm hammering F sharp up to G sharp, and the B here is dry. And it's really important to let it ring and hit it. It gives it more of that country and western sound that I'm trying to go for with this lick. Arpeggio just means that you're going, instead of going, you're going. Now, obviously, I just do want to make a pitch here, a sales pitch for using your pick and your two fingers. I remember when I started doing this, I was around 14 or 15. The reason why I did it is I heard that Dale Hawkins record, Susie Q. And it had James Burton on it, and the reason why I liked it is when he played on that record, I believe he was about 16. So I was like, wow, this guy was 16, he was a professional guitar player, and I was 15, so I was like, maybe I can be like him by next year. And I heard that he used the pick and the two fingers, so he immediately became my hero. You see that? I'm picking down, and then I'm using the middle finger, ring finger, middle finger again. Now, some of you may already be playing this way, so I want to apologize. I don't want to bore you, but even if you do this play this way, you can use this for stuff like, all right, like you're like. so it's very important to be. You can do all kinds of what they call rolls, but what rolls really are just arpeggios. And so, we're getting back to our key of B now. All right, so we're bending that. As you can see, it's got that. All right, now here's a little variation. I'm going to try to do it a little better. One thing I want to point out is that this way of playing the guitar is not that easy, and it may take a little bit of time and effort. Do not become discouraged. Personally, it's well worth the effort. One day you will be rich if you learn how to do this. See that? So now I've got this B chord, right? But now instead of taking the second string and making that F sharp into a G sharp, now I'm going from B to C sharp. So I'm on the first string and I'm going from the 7th fret up to your 9th fret, and I'm hammering that on. So now the dry note that isn't being changed is going to be on your second strings. This remains unchanged. I'm still bending the 3rd string. All right, so like. Just gives a slightly different melody to it, see? Or like. Okay, now we're going to move up a little bit. We're moving up to this form. And what that is it's what my guitar teacher, Chuck Wayne, explained to me is called closed voicing. And it's not the usual system we have on the guitar of like this. Then you go here, and then here. What this does is it's like a piano. Every note, in other words, goes up strictly in the order of the alphabet. So therefore we're going to have F sharp and then A and then B, okay, for this B7 chord. But when you do the closed voicings, you're usually spreading out, because now your B note hasn't changed, okay, but we're playing it like this. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's not too bad. But now we're going to bend it, okay? And this, you really got to lean into this puppy, I'm telling you. It takes some. Like I said, our melodic notes are F sharp, A, and B. Now, I strongly suggest, as you know, this is not a course in music theory, but I strongly suggest that you learn the names of all the notes on the neck of your guitar. This will really help you learn anything, not just what I have to show you. Even if you just know where these notes are and can find them on any string, it's going to really help out. That's Frida the cat, by the way, in the background there. If you have any other questions, you know, she's got it figured out a lot better than I do, obviously. So, all right, here we go, okay? You really got to lean into this. That's why I got my. Well, see, it's a nice sound. I like this sound a lot. And that's like a B7 chord, see? And once again, our dry note is B. This note's not bent. This note's going. Right? And this. This is a dry note, okay? I actually, this was inspired, I was listening to this guitar player, Eric Ambel, who played with played with Steve Earle, he played with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, and he was doing something similar to this, but I don't know if he was using a B bender or a palm pedal, but I heard him messing around on the guitar, and I got the idea to play a lick like this from him. And what it is I'm playing this B major 6 chord, okay? Once again, our notes are F sharp, G sharp, and B. Okay, now I'm going to go down to A, and then I'm going to bend. Now I've got, right, and here's our tonic. So, okay, or here. So just so you hear what key we're in and everything. All right, so I'm going to go like here. Now my first finger's going to go down 2 frets, right? The longer you can hold on to them. So now I'm bending this just a little bit. I'm not pushing it up, I'm pulling it down. And that gives another sound too. Don't try that one on stage till you're good and warmed up. You know? Never play past what you know your limit is at the moment. Find something inside of that to play, and then you'll always be in the pocket. Or bending it down. Okay? At this point, I'm going from the 5th fret to the 11th fret. But only for a second. Now if I bend this, it's going to mute this note out. So this note doesn't last very long. See that? And that's it. You know, got to be careful where you put that. But it's good for some stuff. I think I recorded on my first record, Surf Avenue, a long time ago. All right, now moving along, we've gotten, this is our kind of, everything coming out of here. All right? There's one more that's tough, and it's like this. I like that one because it's real country sounding, and what it is so and that's going to be F sharp, B naturally, and then C sharp, right? Now I got to lean way back and bend that up. Now you got to lean back because you got to get the guitar kind of riding up on your stomach. See, because the whole trick to this is the first finger's got to be in the shape of a hook, and you got to pull down. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Sorry, but so you got that. It's a little harder to do when you're like an A flat or something, but B is about to. Now we're going to move up. Those are all the licks I know they're out of this chord form, see? Now we're going to move up a little up the neck, okay? And the next lick that I'm doing, it's back to the western swing country kind of sound. It's going to sound like this. See that? So it's like. Now what I'm doing, this chord here, it's another major 6th chord, okay? If you notice, a lot of the chords I've been doing are either called major 6th or dominant 7ths. That's because when you only can bend the strings that are unwound, and when you're doing 3-note chords like that, they're right there. This chord here, you have G sharp, B, and D sharp, okay? Now, this is a triple bend, okay? I'm bending all 3 strings. And the way I'm doing it is I'm using 4. The whole chord, I'm starting from out of key, a half step. In other words, here's our key, and I'm doing this. It would be terribly discordant if you didn't bend it, as you can see. I mean, I like that sound, but that's prettier. That is definitely very distant. So you're bending it down, then you're coming up. Now, with these kind of riffs, you got to pinch the guitar. It's not just like you're pushing in the string, but you're pinching like a crab. If you've ever gotten bitten by a crab, you know what I'm talking about. You have to kind of pinch down into the neck, so you're like, as well as pushing the string up. So I'm starting. The intervals would be 6, 1, and major third. So major 6th, root, major third. But I'm taking the entire chord, I'm starting from half step and bending up. See that? And that's the reason why it's effective is it's like you're sliding into it from a half step below. This is a dissonant chord and it resolves to a nice consonant major 6 chord. So it's like, and I got this directly from an old Bob Wills and the Texas Playboy record. You know, where he was like, "Ah, rad!" See that? So now you're bending the whole chord, and you're like, play it like this, right? Then you go. Okay, now's it. Now we got that major 6 chord. Now we're going to play a B dominant 7th, and those are A, B, D sharp again. Okay, the same thing. But now I'm using my 2nd finger, my 2nd and my 1st. And then remember, the whole trick is that 1st string. Now it's the 1st string because it's the skinniest. That's got to go the furthest. So you you really put your energy into that. You get under that string. Another thing that's very, and then we get the 7th chord like this. There we go. I'm going to do it again. This is a B 7th chord, okay? I'll show it to you again. Once again, here's the dry chord. See, these are what you call closed voicing. In other words, people that play the piano, they're taught to play. They can play all the notes close together in a cluster like this. And you can do it on the guitar, but you can usually only do it on 3 or 4 strings. But now we're going to bend it, okay? You got to use a lot of body English on this, okay? Like I'm digging the guitar into my stomach and I'm also kind of lifting it up because you just need. Okay, so those are the 2 licks I could do in that position. Alright? Now, in this case, our top melody note, right, is D sharp. Now watch this. Here's my next thing I'm going to show you are the Hawaiian 6ths. Because as you know, you listen to a lot of those old records and they'll be like, So I'll show you how to do these.